Thank you. I like the stage. Hello, everybody. We seem to have lost some audience over the tea break, but hopefully they will trickle in. So this morning when I dressed to come here, I didn't realize that I would coordinate so well with the decor. As a theater person, I like it. So I'm here today to talk to you about the power of theater. But I'm not going to do exactly that. I have done in my life two things professionally that I am extremely passionate about. I'm a teacher. It's something that I always wanted to be. I never considered another profession, ever, so I trained to be a teacher. And I'm a theater practitioner. And for me, the two come together very, very well. They come together seamlessly. And over my years in the classroom, I have learned to use the theater to teach better. And I'm going to share some of those ideas and findings with you today, some of the experiences that I have had, perhaps. I have been working in the private school setup as a teacher for about 26 years now. And I think I can say with absolute certainty that parent-teacher meetings are the bane of everyone's existence. They are loathed by teachers, by parents, and by students alike. The only people who seem to like them are the administrations of schools, but I don't really want to go into why that might be so. So why do teachers hate parent-teacher meetings? Because several times a year, it means that we spend long, tedious hours marking tests, correcting notebooks, compiling results, and then finding that one remark on that list of 250 generic report card comments that might fit the student that we are talking about. And then, horror of horrors, we have to give up time after school or on a Saturday morning to actually be at that PTM. Not pleasant. Parents dislike PTMs too. Why do they dislike them so much? Well, you know, 3 times a year you have to leave work early to go there. And then if it's not at that time of day, then that leisurely, lovely Saturday morning has to be sacrificed. And for what? To go and sit in front of the teacher of your student, of your child, and to hear the teacher talk about your less than adequate child in words like, can do better, not working to potential, has problems concentrating in the classroom. Which parent really wants to spend time doing that? And then we come to the student. Students hate parent-teacher meetings. They have more valid reasons to do so. They stand there, teacher seated on one side, parent seated on the other, poor child standing next to them. And they are objectified. The parent and the teacher talk above them, around them, about them, as if they weren't there. How do they feel? They feel judged, misjudged, misunderstood, voiceless, and often helpless. I'm sure all of you at some point in your lives have come across that wonderful illustration where we see all these animals lined up under a tree. You've got the elephant, the monkey, the seal, the fish, and there's this man seated behind the desk on the other side, and he says, well, for a fair selection, you're all going to have to take the same exam. Please climb that tree. The monkey is thrilled. If I were the monkey, I would be. The elephant, not so much. The seal, and what about the fish? I think it was Einstein who said something along the lines of, you know, everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will spend its whole life believing that it is stupid. Well, I think we are all aware of the fact that our education system is pretty much like that man behind the desk. And we expect all those children, regardless of ability, regardless of differences, diversity, all that we can talk about, regardless of all that, to climb that same tree and to achieve the same level of success doing so. Is this a realistic demand? Well, it's hard to say. So how can we help these children to actually achieve that success that they do need? So there is no denying the fact that they all have to, in some way or the other, climb that tree. But is there anything that we can do to help them get there? Let's walk into a terrible classroom. A typically terrible classroom. And I say typically because, unfortunately, these classrooms are not rare. From my observations as teacher trainer, I have seen them happen too many times to be able to say, oh, never mind, that was a one-off. We walk into the classroom. We have rows of children, one behind the other, facing a whiteboard. In better cases, a smart board that is not always so smartly used, but it's there nonetheless. And we have the teacher at the front of the class. Books are open. One child in a sing-song is droning on, reading from whatever book is in front of them. They read a paragraph, then the next child reads the next paragraph, and everybody else in the classroom is trying to stifle a yawn. Reading time over, the teacher explains what they read, and then it's time to start writing. And so they start writing, and sometimes the teacher will emerge from behind the desk and walk around the class to pounce on those who might be almost on the verge of falling asleep, or to pounce on those who might be doodling in their notebooks instead of doing the work. Unfortunately, not a rare scene to be seen. Now, let's walk into a different classroom. And the examples I'm giving you here are perhaps they're not exactly early years classrooms, they're more primary level classrooms. As a teacher, I specialize in senior school and middle school teaching, but what comes to us at that level is produced by the early years classrooms and the primary classrooms. And by the time a child has reached grade 5 or 6, you have made them or broken them. So what comes to us, we can only continue to develop, but the product, so to speak, is already made in these early years classrooms. Let's walk into another classroom. I like this one better. What big eyes you have, Grandma? All the better to see you with, my dear. And what big ears you have? All the better to hear you with, my dear. And what big teeth you have. All the little children seated at the feet of the teacher on a mat listen, open-mouthed, wide-eyed. This is not the first time they're hearing this story. They know exactly how it ends. But the magic is always there because of the way the story is being told. They can see that innocent little girl in red. They can see the big bad wolf dressed in the grandmother's clothes. They want to cry out and warn her, even though they know she's perfectly safe. And then, when the woodcutter finally bursts in and whips out his axe to attack the wolf, everyone claps and cheers. This is their favorite time of day. But it's not their favorite time of day because of the story that's being told. It's their favorite time of day because of the way the story is being told. This is the time of day when little boys can trick big giants rumbling fee, fi, fo, fum. This is the time when they can sing along with the gingerbread man. Run, run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me, I'm the gingerbread man. This is the time when wolves can huff and puff and blow houses in. And this is the time they can go on a bear hunt, complete with actions and sound effects. Yes, it's their favorite time of day. But it's their favorite time of day because their teacher is turning this reading into a performance. This is not just reading. The teacher is using the actor's tools, the voice, the body, expressions, gestures, movement, to make this a lived experience for the children. What happens in a classroom like this? You will probably say, well, kids enjoy it. It's storytelling time. Of course they enjoy it. But you might at this point want to ask me, but where's the learning in all this? They're enjoying it, sure, and maybe, it's nice, they can concentrate, hear a story. But is it really contributing to the learning that they need to be doing in a classroom? Yes, it is. Because this kind of activity, when teachers employ theatrical techniques to communicate with students, actually turns children from passive to active listeners. And when you have turned children from passive to active, where their learning is concerned, you have broken through something very, very important. What can you learn from an activity like this? Story time. Yes, but story time can be followed by so many other things. Reading and speaking skills. Every time the child reads that story, they know what they're reading. They read more fluently. They pay attention to punctuation and how punctuation creates meaning, perhaps. Speaking skills, when they repeat those dialogues, those are developed. In addition to that, dramatic interpretation. How emotions can be conveyed through voice, but also sometimes through words and punctuation. We're talking about writing the script down, which helps with sentence constructions. We're talking about acting it out, which helps with fluency. It also helps us to create meaning. It helps us to comprehend. We're talking about stepping into a character's shoes. We're talking about understanding motivation. We're talking perhaps even empathy. When we talk about performing in front of people, perhaps turning this into a script and having performance, we're talking about developing all sorts of abilities, confidence, collaboration, working together, etc. In this way, what happens? The classroom becomes a space where literacy development, creativity, and social skills all thrive at the same time. And not just that, what is the teacher catering to? The teacher at the same time is catering to what we call multiple intelligences. Not everyone learns the same way. Some learn visually, some learn through hearing, some learn through doing. She's catering to all of that. She is also catering to all sorts of learning styles, and more than anything else, and this is something that in today's world of education we tend to ignore. We tend to ignore that learning happens not just in the head, learning happens in the body. Learning happens through our senses, through our exploration of voice and body and movement and rhythm. It's not always about what is up here. Our bodies help us learn. And when we turn children from passive to active learners, we are actually nurturing all sorts of creativity and a love of discovery and a joy in learning that we don't otherwise in traditional classrooms. The skills stay with you for life. They prepare you for the competencies required by the education system. And at the same time, they prepare you for the bigger world out there. But then there's two sides to it. So what we've seen is a classroom where first the teacher is performer, and then she uses theatre techniques to engage the classrooms. The teacher must never underestimate the power of their own voice and body language in the classroom. It will help you garner attention, retain attention, get people to listen to you. You will know how to deal with noisy classrooms, with silent classrooms. Never forget that the actor's tools, the voice and the body, benefit the teacher greatly. You are a performer constantly. When you are standing there in the classroom, that is your stage and your students are your audience. Learn to perform using the feedback that your audience gives you. It helps you, how would I say it? It actually helps you to I don't like using the word control, but it helps you guide your students. It helps you be a better facilitator to learning. In the ancient Greek, that's where theatre comes from, they used to call it theatron. It means a place of seeing. In Greece, this place of seeing was a metaphor. It wasn't just about the seating area and the stage that you had. It was about what you went to see, and it was a lot about witnessing what happens in the world in front of you produced as a play. It was about understanding it, and it was about reflecting on it. Why can our classrooms not also be mini theatres where students can actually process learning and living? Theatre used within classrooms can be a life-changing tool, a tool that will help prepare students not just for exams, but also for life. I think Shakespeare he was onto something when he said, all the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players. Our classrooms then are the stage where our students need to find their voice, their confidence, and their place in the world. And that, my friends, is education at its best.